Hello. What's up, people? Hope things are going well for you guys. We're taking it easy today. I'm playing vampire counts. Will they cook? We'll have to see. Will I run Vlad? No. Absolutely not. Hello, Trizik. Tournament starting in 1 minute. Hopefully all the last minute check-ins are good. My thought is, I really want to play vampire counts in the grand finals. But I don't know if they're actually good or not. I don't know if they're actually good or not. Alright, tournament is starting. I feel like they might be really good versus Wood Elves if you get the dog micro going. But I'm not entirely sure. Round 1. And we're up against Ponty. Yo, I'm Vampire Counts. So we'll see. Are you playing in the 2v2 tournament? Nah. I'ma take it easy. I'ma take it easy today. Oh god, he's Skaven. Alright. If I lose to his Skaven, I'm just bad. Then Edge of the Darkwood. But yeah, no 2v2 tournament for me. I might just take it easy the rest of the day. Aren't you the goat of dog micro? Well, we'll see if it's enough. I also haven't practiced my dog micro that much, but I am the OG dog microer. At least for in times past. Skaven equals bad, yeah, and they're also double bad against vampire counts. Alright. The Blood Grove. That's not undead. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. The double Hydra. Double Hydra replaced with double Hell Pit. Oh my god. Now that would be pretty crazy. Do I have a versus Skaven build? I don't even have a build versus Skaven. Thankfully, vampire counts are very straightforward. The problem with Skaven is that they are so easily routable by undead factions. If you just walk forwards, you're gonna be fine. I don't think they have any blob busters or anything. Lord-wise, though, what do I want for my Lord? Lord-wise, I'll have to feel it out. There's a few cool options. But, yeah, I guess Skaven, they can be a little, just a little hard to deal with sometimes. It really depends. It really depends on what he decides to go for. I feel like this is good enough, though. Another great thing about Skaven, they die to cavalry. It doesn't even matter what type of cavalry you have. So I don't have to bring like Blood Knights or anything. Black Knights are more than enough. Just gotta make sure I got some basic terror options is all. Yeah, this feels pretty gross. That's a good sign. This feels pretty decent. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is a build. This is a build. There's nothing you can do against this. Do I want Karen Wraiths versus Skaven? That's actually kind of funny. Maybe I'll take a 1-of for Karen Wraiths because that way they can terror out things. Great. Aether Wolf, what's up? 1 million Globadiers. If only that worked. Globadiers are really good versus expensive infantry, but Undead, they got the cheap stuff. You really think he's gonna go for Hell Pits? That would be crazy, man. Get the abominations going. The problem with them is they do route pretty easy, but I guess the fear and terror of Undead won't affect them. They have healing. They are healing. Yeah. Everyone's predicting Hell Pits. It's definitely up his alley. Ponty plays unconventional builds. Either that or he's gonna spam ranged my way. I think with Ponty, you expect the unconventional. But yeah, let's see how this goes. I just want to get my reps with vampire counts so I feel a little bit more comfortable with them. As we saw yesterday, Empire kind of suffers against some playstyles. You have to play them very particularly to not lose. And that's not exactly what I want to be working with, right? 7 units. He does have a Hell Pit. Probably 2. Oh my god. Crazy. But yeah, Empire, like, I think my Empire is strong. But I think it's slightly riskier. Like, they're not a foolproof faction for me. Whereas, if I can just crush today's tournament, vampire count should feel pretty foolproof. Now he's brought Lord Skrolky. He has Howling Warp Gale, Warp Lightning, some Storm Vermin, 5, 6. He has 1 stealth unit, and it's going to be Gorage. So this is basically him begging me to Spirit Leech him to death. As of late, people haven't really been they haven't really been Lord sniping Skaven as much as they used to. And I think that's crazy. I think if you're not Lord sniping Skaven, you just don't know what to do. And that leads to people running stuff like Skrolk, you know? Who, you know, while he is pretty scary in a blob, he's not particularly ready to handle these kind of basic, super basic Lord Snipe shenanigans. Now he's gonna go for the big fight. Rule of thumb if you're playing vampire counts, playing a blob. Playing a blob and you'll be a-okay. He will get some pretty decent warp grinderage on me, but I'm not super worried about that. I really doubt they're gonna do more than what the Mortis engine is gonna heal. Skrolk is already down for the count. So that's going to be rather comfortable for us. He did summon some Plague Monks, but Plague Monks, unfortunately for my opponent, are not super great. They're also kind of in a terrible situation right now. And with the power of dogs, invested in me, we will get that Lord Snipe. Glorious. Come on, Skull, just die. Oh, jeez, my Mortis. He actually got a lot of damage there with the good old Gorich. Well, a little bit of a misplay then. Gorich actually has more teeth than I gave him credit for. In theory, though, if my guys could actually kill Squulk sometime. There we go, then it should be a win. Because here's the problem. When Squulk is dead, and they ain't got no leadership, and they're getting rear charged by doggos, Skaven are ultra prone to getting mass routed. I just gotta escort them off the battlefield. Yes. He may have a Gorich. No. That is not a big deal. If we can just get a wee bit of cycle charging on him. And just like that, basically everything's routed off. Technically, the value trading is close because I did kind of YOLO a Mortis engine away. That's my bad, but this is where the dogs feast now, man. Not a single Skaven unit is gonna be able to route off this battlefield. Yeah, Gorich has that 360 spin maneuver that's quite effective, but yeah, unfortunately 681. Unfortunately, it's not enough. Pretty nice. I don't think we were in any threat of losing that game for the entire match. That's a good sign for vampire counts. This vampire counts versus Skaven. What I really want to see, though, is how they do versus factions like High Elves. Because historically, High Elves are really, and Wood Elves, are both really annoying to vampire counts. But I really want to test the theory. We need players that are actually good enough, though, to test it out. Is Navigator playing Witties today? I hope he is. That would be the best case scenario for us. Let's see. Navigator is playing... Oh yeah, Boss Hoss playing Corn. That'll actually be pretty interesting. Navigator's playing Greenskins, which is a nice test, but still not like a hard counter. I think Pope Patty. No, they're playing, yeah, a team Wood Elf game, alright. But yeah, in the end, Squulk just kind of sucks. My lord got 3,400 value in like 5 minutes. Yeah, I need Charx in here. I'm just kind of banking on the fact that Charx is going to be a little out of practice. But I really hope someone else takes him out. Great video this morning. Thank you so much. Make you realize you need more of my videos in your life. Yeah, I want to start producing more videos again. We got a little busy for a bit. But yeah. Full cav vampires for the boys. Sure. You want to see some Blood Knight action? Actually, vampire counts can... Yeah, they can actually afford full cap by quite a bit. It's interesting. It's definitely unexpected. For $10? For $10, I'll get it done. But only if I feel like we're not going to get super dumpstered. Not enough skeleton warriors. They're not that good, honestly. The deckhands are so much better than skeleton warriors. You walk away for 2 minutes and you miss the match. That's the Anticity Classic. All my matches always so fast. What a shame. What a shame. Despite that, we still have a rough time versus the high tier people. In this tournament though, outside of the cav maxing, I really want to get that sweet 100% win rate. I have to increase my own confidence with vampire counts. Otherwise, I'll probably end up banning bad, or I'll ban matchups that are good for me. Just because I don't have the confidence and the know-how to actually win them well, so. You'll have to see. Sick build, yeah, this one. This is where it's at. Snickage all of Cathay speedrun when? That's actually pretty good. Skaven take over Cathay. The speedrun format's pretty fun just because of how fast it is too. I don't have to like play a challenge campaign for like 10 streams in a row. So yeah, I feel like you know, keeping up with the blitz style is pretty nice. Now if we're going cav max, usually double White King on horses is a pretty good strat. For just having that little bit of extra oomph. Manfred does have the Sword of Unholy Power. So he does get a lot of magic, but only if he's in melee. Now with the cav max, I don't know. Like, what if I take Manfred, take Wind of Death, and the Sword of Unholy Power? It's 0.1 reserves per second. It's an extra winds of magic every 10 seconds he's in melee. But I guess it doesn't really work out with the long grindy game. Unless I route off a unit and then I chase them off with Manfred for like 20 years. That'd be interesting. I also have the Red Duke. Red Duke have anything? He has Elsif. So you can debuff some lords and heroes. I kind of need an infantry clear though. Kemler is not bad. Okay, so I could go a Kemler. Chaos Tombblade. So I basically can have Chaos Tomb-Bladed Blood Knights. Then you Wind of Death. To clear infantry. Kemler is very cheap. Karapdir, what's up? Win a Vampire Counts game without bringing White Kings. We actually did that against Skaven just now. It took us like 3 minutes. It was pretty chill, actually. I just kind of walked forwards and then he died. Such is the Skaven life. Now, let's see. I'll have to cut some of these guys. Von Hells to buff. So Von Hells can be overcast. But, like, it's 8 wins, man. That's more than a third of what Wind of Death is. Or it's 40%. Do I really want a minor speed boost for 40% of a Winds of Death? Or would I rather have 40% of a Winds of Death, you know? Any actual Black Coach use cases? No, not really. Current meta has Cavalry being quite effective against Infantry. To the point where Chariots don't really do anything. They're the same effectiveness versus infantry, but they can't fight cab. So that means that chariots are just worse. It's kind of what happens when you buff up cav. They've always had a fairly overlapping role with chariots. in times long gone, the old meta was you would use cavalry to win the cav fight, and when you have a superior cav army, then you bring in the chariots to clean up infantry. But now it's just cav. Kind of like it though. I'm pretty bad with chariots. So from a purely strategic standpoint, I guess that's good for us. Boss Toss has now won their game. Boss Toss is gonna be pretty rough. My versus Corn build, I don't know. Don't know how we'll do. You know, cav maxing versus Corn might actually be pretty sick. I might cav max Corn because they really don't have the best cav. If he brings Minotaur great weapons though, we just lose. Yeah, unless I can figure out something that kills off Mino great weapons. Any chariots that win versus cav in melee. Technically Ice Wolf chariots if you stack them, but that's kind of abusing a bug that makes them not take hits. Korngors? Nah, Korngors can't survive calves around. The leadership sucks. Until they become unbreakable. If they go unbreakable, then you're screwed, but I'll have Wind of Death. I'm sure we can make it work. Scourge Runner chariots? Yeah, they're ranged. That's cheating. The Sky Cutters. I think the Sky Cutters... I'm still calling it right now. Those Sky Cutters are going to be hella OP. I think CA is going to make them OP. Either they're going to be Scourge Runners, or they're going to have like way too much mass or something, and then they're just going to, you know, never get caught. And then they like fly up again. Or they're like impact hits from the air are like way too effective or something. That's what I'm putting my money on. The other option is they're just so broken, like they'll just keep overshooting their targets and not actually doing anything. But it's such an easy unit to overtune. I feel like it's gotta be. It has to be overtuned. What build would you run as High Elves versus Vampire counts? A Tempest Lord, a ton of Archers, and then some Rangers. You do need something to kill the Grave Guard if you do see any. So maybe some White Lion action. But like if the only problem you have to deal with is a few Grave Guard and Crypt Horrors are not really a big deal, then you're usually in a better position. Elite Halberds are effective against vampire counts. Yes and no. Depends if they get Wind of Death. Wind of Death is actually a crazy good spell for the vampire counts. It's just a little sketchy, but moving to ultra unit sizes makes it harder to dodge. It is still dodgeable, but a lot of people are not used to dodging it. So that's the idea. Herald Hammerstorm, hot garbage versus vampire counts. Super hot garbage. People who take Harry into counts lose more than people who do not. Most people use Nahek. Yeah, but like I don't think Nahek's actually that good. Unless you specifically have a lord that you want to heal. But I like to go for this Strigoi. You get the regeneration on him. The more I play vampire counts, the more Nahek feels like a band-aid for making misplays. Which is not effective. In theory, you should just not make those misplays. Because Wind of Death straight up wins games. Could you win a tournament with Archaon using only undivided units? Probably, but not if a top tier player is running around with a top tier faction. Because Warriors of Chaos without Hellstriders, they won't do too great. They'll lose to like Wood Elves, they'll lose to Slaanesh. Yeah, they would go down to B tier, but if we don't run into a top player running a top faction, I think we'd have a decent chance of winning it, but that's kind of every faction. I could win with Skaven if we don't have a top tier player on a top faction. With the exception that there also has to be no vampire counts, but Maximilianaire hasn't had a lot of time to play recently. Life got busy for them, I think. So Skaven, they will have a higher chance to win now. Dude, my hair is not cooperating today. Is this better? Where's my comb over at? I can't tell. All right, this should do. Give Hammerstorm a horse and he'll be an instant pick. I think his routing range for Undead needs to be a little further. But the idea of like routing off the enemy lord and somehow staying within like what, 10 meters is the range of them? And just escorting them off the map, that would be hilarious. But the range is just so small. And the moment they come back, you're screwed. Right? It just doesn't really work. Here, starting a riot. I know, right? Look at this. I have a very thick hair. It does not like to cooperate. You wish Chaos Knights were good? I've been asking CA to buff Chaos Knights for a while. They did make the Lances 100 gold cheaper though, which makes them see very rare play, but they could still use more of a buff. I think Chaos factions not using Chaos Knights is weird. Like, it feels like Chaos Knights should be a core part of their roster, but they're just not. It's always like some other, you know, other unit, be it Hellstriders or like Doom Knights or whatevs. Like, I don't know. It's like Empire Knights, right? Imagine if Empire just didn't use Empire Knights. What even is that? Elgi and Slaanesh shouldn't exist as factions. The elf hate, it runs deep. The most hated factions. Even more than Undead, which is kind of crazy to me. Hey, Renataki, what's up? Thank you, thank you. Are you playing today? Renataki, you are, and you already got a win. Maybe we'll face each other, and I'll take that good luck. Use it to take you to Pound Town. Miami Yo-Yo, hello. Win a game with Helm and Gorst. You could go shotgun Gorst. Gorst has some good magic regen capabilities. Hell, maybe you could run him in the verse Khorne matchup. I don't know. Maybe you can shotgun blast Khorne to death. Anyways, I'm personally hoping we face Boss Toss. I want to see if the Cav Max works against Khorne. That would definitely throw him in for a loop. Khorne is pretty straightforward. They take a lot of elite infantry. Pretty slow infantry though. So Cav Max should actually be quite good there. Gorst is actually decent into Slaanesh. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I personally like faster lords, but being able to spam gaze them to gash against a keeper is pretty disgusting. I feel like vampire counts is, they're actually, it's not doomed versus Slaanesh. Like, the Slaanesh player does have to play it rather well to not get caught out by the vampire counts player. But yeah, nothing you can do versus Wrathmongers. Anti-infantry Blood Knights. No, they'll still die. Against Wrathmongers, They have decent armor, so you can't even run them down with dogs. Can I ignore them? They did get their speed reduced. They are slower than before. Oh yeah, Maximilianaire can beat anyone with vampire counts, man. The guy's crazy. You're generally pretty happy when someone picks counts into Slaanesh. Yeah. I would say like Slaanesh is definitely favored. Slaanesh is definitely favored, but against a non-Slaanesh player, like I think I could beat a Slaanesh player who hasn't played Slaanesh a lot with vampire counts at this point. I've played a decent amount of counts. We feel pretty comfy with them. Still waiting on one more match. He should be done soon though. What would you buff on vampire counts with the upcoming Neferata Lord pack? What kind of unit type would you like to see? I guess if they add Neferata, I would like to see some more interesting hero options for vampire counts. I think the roster's fairly well fleshed out. There's not a whole lot to really add. They have good cavalry diversity. You can fix that with balance. I want to see another corpse cart. I want to see another corpse cart. And I feel like maybe another flying unit could be cool. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like the roster's kind of done though. No one's playing Cathay nowadays. You do have a couple people dabbling. Danican dabbled with Cathay a smidge. Does that count? And actually, they were a little spooky. Though I do think if you full melee rush Cathay, it's generally pretty bad for them. Yeah. Danican plays Cathay correct here. Gotta keep up with the times. Yeah, they're pretty spooky. Actually, I didn't finish watching the end of Turin's tournament. I only caught the beginning. Let me open it up real quick. Who is Danican facing? Wait, it was a Turin v Danican Grand Finals? Crazy. Turin made it to the finals? Wow. Okay, yeah, Danican's he's basically just spamming the halberd guys and using an amped up lord. So any proper man tide should win. You don't really need a lot of skirmishers versus Danikins. Cathay, it seems. You should add Sylvanian peasants. I feel like Sylvanian peasants, I feel like they don't have a purpose. You screwed up first turn, that's why you made it. Hey, consistency is an important part of playing the game. Turin tried using Nurglings again to capture Danikin's back point. Really don't like that. kind of play, but Turin does know how to play Nurgle better than me. He did lose like all his Nurglings though. That's such a big loss. But yeah, it seems like Daniken is really liking the Spell Amp strat. Spell Amp, and you kind of kite around with your Lord. And you get value that way. So if you just spam armor, I think you can beat Daniken's Cathay. Maybe I'm woefully incorrect. We'll see how it actually pans out when we get into the Grand Finals. Round 2. It's begun, and we're up against Arno. Very nice. I'm Vampire counts. Oh, right. So, you're first. All right. And what faction may they be playing? Skaven. Again. All right, he bans Oasis. Let's play Lair. He'll actually have a chance if I go for the Cav Max here. But yeah, Skaven's a rough one. Death Pancake, you gotta buy around. Yee. Such is life. Alright. So, Skaven, while mildly spooky, they really should not have that many plays against the Dread Vampire counts. They do like their SCs though. That's something to keep in mind. So I just gotta answer this. Alright, but yeah, Skaven. They shouldn't really be able to do that well versus counts, right? Don't they have like a lot of sick cleanup tools here? It's important to note they also are a faction with basically no mass. Skaven single entities are okay. But yeah, their lords can be quite dangerous. And they can take Gorich, who's actually rather good versus cavalry, but we'll see, we'll see. Let's get this dono request done. Is there a reason to take regular Jade Warriors unless you're fighting low armor or ranged? Well, like that's literally the reason you take them. Like, it's like saying, like, is there a reason to take zombies outside of stuffing up your opponent and tanking damage? And, like, no, but, like, they do it pretty well. You kind of want that. Well, technically, If you want cheap cap weight that's hard to kill, Jade Warrior Halberds are also good. But I always thought Jade Warrior Halberds were too expensive. And I was never actually a huge fan of them. So it's interesting that Danican's running them. And to pretty good effect too. I'll need to practice rushing Cathay and all that. It could also be a little sketchy. Playing something like Vampire Counts against Cathay. Now, like, generally, Vampire Counts, they should be quite good into Grand Cathay. But you never know. You never know. Danican, I'm sure, is gonna have some sort of crazy shenaniganry there. Anyways, you asked for it. We deliver. Vampire Counts. So, yeah, this should go rather well. Looks like he has a primarily infantry force. I'm only running Wind of Death because realistically, the only thing that can stop me are like a bunch of halberds or something. Kemmler also heals. He'll heal in melee using the Chaos Tomb Blade. It's actually quite a crazy heal. And he's escorted by my 2 White Kings. So generally, I shouldn't have to worry about much. Now, my opponent, they've gone for a Chieftain. Avalanche Mortars. And Rat Ogres. Now that's pretty, I guess that's almost standard fare. But obviously these guys are not going to do very well versus my Cav. I should be able to simply run over these here Night Runners with just a little bit of a charge. My guys do have Strider. He has Tretch, alright.
We have a victory point. Keep it from the foe.
It's pretty crazy. Oh, I think he shot at the worst time possible. Classic Skaven. Absolutely classic Skaven. So they absolutely friendly fire themselves. Not exactly the best of plays that you want to make in these type of situations. This is why Avalanche Mortars are not great at the highest level, by the way. They are rather easy to dodge. Holy scab scrat value. And okay, now he's gonna get a little bit of a flensing, but I'm overall not too terrified, as many of my units here are able to peel out of that situation. Rat Ogres though, a little sketchy, just a little sketchy. He has some doggos here, all right. But if I can get a sick Wind of Death down the pipe on these Skaven slaves, that should rout them off. It should leave his expensive tools basically undefended. And then victory shall be ours. I am losing a little bit of cavalry here though. But all his expensive stuff is dead, right? He realistically just has this little pocket left. Rat Ogres on the far side simply do not have the oomph to really, survive against all this cav over here. A little sad that we weren't able to get the Blood Knights out, but what can you do? All shattered over there. And now I'm just saving up for the next Winds of Death. Now, I probably should have saved it for this situation. I will say I made probably a mild misplay, casting a whole Winds of Death on some Skaven Slave Spears. But do not worry. I have a plan. And that is Scabscrath. Pretty good deeps. Could have been slightly more to the right to really bully those Clan Rat Spears, but it's okay. We have our Cav at the ready. Gets a pretty good flensing on my Kemler. But we're in the end game now. All I really got to do is just get a vanilla Winds of Death on these guys. One more Winds of Magic and it's super over. Oh, I never capped this point. Mabby. Actually, we might not need it. These guys might just route off on their own. How pleasant. Though we'll have to see. Come on, can I get like a rear charge or something on them? There we go. Alright, so that'll route them off. He's still bringing in ranged, which is definitely a misplay, but maybe he just doesn't have the right units to summon on in. That can sometimes happen in these matches. Would definitely be unfortunate for my opponent. Good routes though. Valley trading is apparently close, but you gotta remember we got the healing from the Kemler. And there we go. This should route everything off here. And in theory, Kemler's thing should activate, but he's not in melee yet. There we go. Finally gets in melee. And that should deal with these guys pretty well. Now, he does actually summon in a surprise Poison Wind Globadier. And that actually is going to hurt us quite a bit. Punishing me for the blobbening. Am I worried? The answer, as always, is going to be a big no. A very big Scabscrath over there. In fact, I think we can just double back now. Finish the job over there. Technically, Tretch. Technically, Tretch will... Oh, dang, we knocked him down. So he couldn't get the spell off. But yeah, Tretch is actually quite hard to actually route off and all that. But thankfully, we can kind of just ignore him. I forget, does anyone know if Flensing Ruin is sticky? I'm actually just going to test it out real quick. Okay, no, if you leave Flensing Ruin, it doesn't do... its damage, so... All you gotta do is D-blob. He's been triple capped for a while, though. Not a single ticket in the hands of my opponent. Kemler, I swear, if Kemler could actually just get into melee for 1 second, he would actually heal for once. But the guy just isn't getting into melee. Finally gets in there. Thank goodness. All right. And that should be good enough. Another Globadier bites the dust. Caster should be gone very soon. Couple Skaven Slave Spears should not be a big issue. Man, my cavalry's slow though, man. They're so slow. A little disappointing to see. But yeah, I think camping my opponent's spawn zone with the meme build kind of really shows how cursed this is for Skaven. Though Rat Ogres here might actually cook. Problem is Varix Weavers heal a lot. So they're healing 0.2 every second that goes by. That's pretty chonky though. It looks like they may actually finally route off. Is he gonna kill Kemler too? Is he actually gonna kill Kemmler? Nah, he's too he's too slippery. Kemmler's crazy slippery. But yeah, definitely would not recommend spamming ranged against this. I think my opponent took a few too many range units, and he kept summoning in range units against a Cav max, so they just constantly got shut down. Though of course spamming spears on your spawn zone is always gonna be good. Unfortunately, it is not enough. GG. Great success. Hopefully we face up against Boss Toss next. Well played to my opponent. White Kings only barely paid for themselves. As annoying as they are to kill, they actually get value super slow. That's pretty funny that his avalanche mortars got more value on his own units with friendly fire than they did to me. I actually dodged them quite well. You gotta be careful. See what else to do. Yeah, his slingers. Oh my god. It got the same value as one of his slingers. 2. Although the slingers technically dealt more damage. They did 16 damage. These guys only did 12. Also, yeah, Vampire Coast and Vampire Counts don't really care about losing their lords that much. With Vampire Coast, they don't really have the greatest magic, though. So they care about it even less. With Vampire Counts, you kind of want the magic. And they kind of need their SEs. Rag Ogres were definitely a good call-in, but yeah. See this? He basically only had ranged or chariots. Summoning in the Blight Scabs is not really going to do much. Triads only did okay. Probably should have saved my Winds of Death for them, but yeah. Very nice. Fat mortar value, yeah. Huge mortars. Now that game actually lasted a decent amount of time, but we were memeing. Thank you very much, Trizik, for managing the tournament, by the way. And round 3 will be starting soon. How very exciting. The value tracker is so off, it was crazy. All those Skaven that routed off the field were not counted, yeah. Value tracker is so badly designed. Even if it was accurate, it wouldn't be good. Because it doesn't count routing units. Turn off unit caps and only use the tithe. Are they even worth it? They cost twice as much as normal zombies, but they're not twice as good. They're like 50% better because of the HP bonus and the physical resist. But yeah, unless they have 5 capture weight, normal zombies are just better. Then again, I guess you do run out of unit slots. You think it's possible for Skaven to have a strategy similar to Coast, with a lot of lower cost units that you resummon endlessly? The Coast playstyle is literally copying the Vampire Counts. So yeah. It's kind of interesting though. I do wonder if you can actually cut the White Kings and go proper man-tide. Because if you don't have White Kings, you can actually go pretty heavily skewed into just a lot of units. Instead of Morin Goals, you have Crypt Horrors, which are better. And then the usual way of killing archers is to use White Kings. But Scurvy Dogs and Direwolves have the same stats. And then you take a cheapo Lord. The problem is you're still kind of down in terms of ways to deal with archers, because Silostra has the Cav summon, and all you have is Raised Dead. So archers would probably be a little bit more prevalent. And also Skeleton Spearmen are just worse than the Coast variants. They have less HP. Same with Skeleton Warriors compared to Deckhands. You also don't have pistol mobs to kill elite stuff. So I think if you were to try to copy the Coast style, it would be worse. I think as vampire counts, you just want a little bit more oomph. But like taking 2 White Kings on foot. Yeah. Yeah, and this is classic vampire counts, man. This is super classic vampire counts. 2 White Kings on foot, a ton of infantry, and then probably a Winds of Death caster. But yeah, you don't have a strong single entity lord, but this is a stuff 'em up as it gets, man. This is classic. Oh, sorry. You're saying, can Skaven do a similar strategy? No, I've tried it out before. The thing that works is that these undead units, they have a way of bogging down cavalry that Skaven just do not. Something about the mass and the high entity count. Cavalry can't really run over the undead, but Skaven get cleared out super fast. And the undead strategy too, it only barely works. So anything that gets slightly less effective will just start losing consistently instead of winning consistently. Because it's all about that tipping point on how much damage you can get out. And with Skaven, yeah, their units just don't have the longevity. Like a unit of clan rats, it's just not gonna hold. Not gonna hold against anything. Though it almost works. It's just you have worse dogs, you have worse infantry. Definitely a combined arms type of faction. Does this work against most factions? Oh yeah. If you copy my the vampire counts build, 2 White Kings with Scab Scrath, Kemler with Winds of Death, cackling on a horse, and then all the zombies, skeleton spears, and crypt horrors you can take, along with 2 corpse carts. Yeah, this is gonna this will beat most factions. Like I could close my eyes, and against anyone but the top players playing counter picks, they're gonna lose to this. The reason is because this is one of the most glorious DPS checks you can possibly bring. And most players either don't have the playstyle or the build strategizing to beat this. The only thing that you might want to sub out in a lot of situations are the crypt horrors. If you're up against low AP factions like high elves, you usually want Graveguard instead of horrors. But that's about it. I would not change much else. That's a lot of units, it is. I do also question if it's worth spamming skeleton warriors. I've never been impressed by them though. The fact that they have 2 capture weight, they're almost just objectively worse zombie pirate deckhands. They have 2,200 less HP. And only slightly better stats. The melee attack is basically the same though. Nobody cares about melee defense. I guess they're shielded. I guess they're shielded. So like that, you know, that gives something. But yeah, the tight formation also makes them worse. And they're 50 gold more expensive. Now, like, the deckhands are just good. So a deckhand unit that is just worse can still probably be pretty scary. But yeah, having not enough capture weight is just ain't good enough. Who shoots chaff anyways, though? Yeah, that too, right? They're gonna focus your grave guard or your horrors or your corpse guards or your lord, like literally anything else. Yeah. I think I'd pass on them. I'd rather spam grave guard anyways. Now, what do I want in grave guard? Halberds. I don't think it really works. The reason Coast Chaff spam works is because you can just take so much infantry. Vampire counts kind of have to make more use out of healing than Vampire Coast. It's quite different how the playstyles actually pan out. But anyways, I do really like the dog spam. YOLOing dogs endlessly into your opponent's archers is so good for these kind of stall capture point builds. Halberds are just bad. I've seen like no one use halberds. I presume the great weapon guys just kind of get the job done anyways. What if you take gold chevroned skeleton warriors? How good do they get? Nice. That's like an Empire swordsman for the price of a Cathay Jade Warrior. 2-0. Did we start early on the stream? I think daylight savings time, Noble Naldor, is screwing with you. I think in Europe, daylight savings hit a lot of countries. But for us in Canada, it's hitting November 2nd, I think. We will be realigned next week. Yeah. Yeah. Yo, daylight savings is crazy. And misaligned daylight savings breaks my brain. I almost envy what China did, where they're like, you know what? We're not even gonna get rid of daylight savings. We're gonna get rid of time zones. Now, I think getting rid of time zones, I think that would be better for like company management stuff, but it would be kind of janky to get used to. It's kind of based though. It's kind of based. We'll see if it's actually good or not. But at the very least, we should get rid of daylight savings. I think most people can agree to that. Max chevron everything. Max chevron doggos. Now you have a really expensive dog unit for no reason. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like vampire counts could use man, if you combine vampire counts and coast, oh my god. I'm telling you right now, vampire counts plus coast is definitely the strongest thing in the turn 2v2 tournament. Can I sign up but without another person? Can I just have the AI play with me? I would kind of dig it. I feel like you give me the AI, I just feed them like a bunch of deckhands. I think they could make it work. You can't really screw up if you just spam deckhands, right? I guess they wouldn't have the dogs. Anyways, I want to take the rest of the day off anyways. Oh yeah, the calendar. Yeah, the calendar needs a rework. Did you know? Isn't there a thing? Wait. Wasn't there a thing where you can make the calendar like really neat? I'm pretty sure there's a way you can make the calendar 4 months or 4 weeks for every month, and then like 1 week left over or something, and then it like perfectly lines up or something. There's like something you can do with the calendar to make it really nice and neat. But maybe I'm misremembering. Why does the calendar need a rework? It will work for a really long bloody time. It's because you can make it more nice. But at least we're all lined up on the calendar. At least we don't have different countries using different calendars. I swear, daylight savings. You need a null week or something? I don't know. It's adding a month. Let's see here. 52 divided by 13. Yeah. If you add a month to the calendar, every month can start on the same day, and every month will have 4 weeks. I'm pro adding a month to the calendar. I'm not superstitious, all right? I'm like ultra not superstitious. 13 months ain't gonna sway me. But I'm sure there would be pushback. Round 3 has begun. And we're up against Daceberg. Still haven't hit the heavy hitters. But Daceberg is getting there. And it appears their faction is Tomb Kings. It's another atrocious, absolutely atrocious matchup. Ben Chateau. If I lose versus Tomb Kings, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. We really should not lose here. There are a few things to be careful of. Like, yeah, they're gonna have their light cav. They're gonna have some archers and all that. It's gonna be annoying, but Tomb Kings realistically get dumpstered by vampire counts. I just have to not be a fool and we'll be goodies. It should be a good enough build. Tried Tomb Kings versus vampire counts and he died to crypt horror spam. Technically, if you get the necrotex with that kind of Helm of Discord blinding effect, you can kind of win frontline fights if the vampire counts don't tech against it. Unfortunately for my opponent, I absolutely am gonna tech against it. So we're on Jade Tomb, a nice straightforward map. He should not have the DPS to win this, but you never know. Why is Tomb King so weak against vampire counts? Because vampire counts have an absurd amount of infantry clear. And they will out-capture weight the Tomb Kings dramatically. After that, there's just not a whole lot they can do. I guess they'll have archers. I guess Tomb Kings have archers, but it's pretty easy to shut them down. The entire matchup revolves around their archers getting ludicrous value. And there's like 50 different ways to misplay it as Tomb Kings. Whereas for vampire counts, there's about 3 different ways you can play it. You can go main tide, you can go elite, or you can go big on SEs. And if you go big on, if you go for any of those and Tomb Kings don't have the right build for it, they're kind of just screwed. So already the Tomb Kings have to high roll for the build, then they have to high roll for the play style. In theory, it's pretty atrocious, but I do think there are some skew builds that can maybe get Tomb Kings to win. I'm not a professional vampire counts player, so maybe we don't play it as well as we should. What are vampire counts actually weak to, though? Lots of archer spam. Oh yeah, and better magic choices, but archers can kill crypt horrors. And if they're armor-piercing archers, like with the wood elves, you're just gonna get shot up. They also don't do super duper great versus some anti-infantry options. So like high elves can take rangers and clear the chaff fast enough. But as far as I can tell, vampire counts don't fear a lot. The problem, though, is that I don't know how they play versus Cathay. Like, I think Danican is gonna play Cathay in the grand finals. And while vampire counts traditionally are pretty good versus Cathay, I'm sure he's cooked up something that actually makes the matchup kind of sus. I would be a little worried. That's all I'm gonna say. Just from lack of experience of facing Cathay, I might just pick different factions. Especially with how my Slanesh has been doing against Cathay recently. I just don't want to face against a person that's been grinding these very specific matchups for a long time. Though I'd probably play Vampire Coast into Grand Cathay. I think Coast has a good shot there. Yeah, that amped up Dragon's Breath. You're betting your Cathay career on it? I could see it. And then they just have to uptrade and then they steal the points. I'm sure even Graveguard would kind of suffer versus the crossbows. So if you take the Dragon's Breath and then like a bunch of crossbows. Yeah, that's kind of sus. I think I probably would ban the matchup if I ran into it. Yuan bow tech? Dang. Yeah, I'll settle on trying to get my Slanesh versus Dark Elves. Probably just ban out his Cathay, whatever. We know he's been practicing it. And if I ban out his Cathay, like what's he gonna do versus vampire counts, right? Guy doesn't really play a lot of wood elves, so I can pick wood elves myself. And then the guy's screwed. They should buff Tomb King's artillery. I think if they fix the line of sight errors, there's a chance that Bone Giants actually become pretty crazy. Because legitimately a Tomb King's box with some Bone Giants just plonking away at high value targets all game. Yeah, I could see that being pretty good. Healing Corpse Cart goes where the main fight is. Ready. The Undead Tide is here. We outnumber him 2-1. And he's gone double Kemrian War Sphinx. Now, he did go for almost a tech that I thought he would. But no Vamp Braces of the Sun. I feel like Vamp Braces of the Sun are sick. But I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. Now, there's not a lot of archers here to speak of. I was going to use my dogs to kill the archers, but so be it. And Ushapti while mildly annoying, I think we should be relatively okay. Also, I'm starting to get hungry already, man. What does a guy have to do to not starve to death, I swear? When the grand finals happen, we're gonna have to be ready with the food, man. I can't afford to starve to death. My gameplay gets significantly worse once the hunger happens. Gotta boil some eggs. Eat some eggs midstream. That should be relatively enough. You know, get some rice. We're going ultra try hard, man. Because if Hungry Inticity can win these games, then a full Inticity surely just crushes it, right? Now he's gonna get a lot of shots off, but that's not particularly fearsome. Not in this situation. He also doesn't really have an answer to Graveguard. Gets a spell off, but it's hitting pretty basic infantry. Not too worried about that. And he's clearly going for just kind of a kite play style. So I think we're just gonna capture the points here. I think capture points are gonna be my path to victory here. That'll be a pretty good scab scrat. He's also microing his SE, so he might not be looking here. Whew. Talk about a vacuum. Oh my god. Kamler, you glorious beast. 300 kills on one cast. Yeah, that capture point is mine now. Game over. Game over, man. Game over. Kamler does not joke around. This is why you don't go for Nahek. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, think about the juicy Naheks over here. Yeah, no. Skelly's had a family. Win to death for life. And now I can sit back and relax. Is there anything to summon in? Got some cav here, I guess. White King should be able to clear that up. And now the pain and suffering that comes from having Usopp the Great Bow is going to come into play. Because my opponent's going to realize real fast that he just doesn't have the DPS to clear this out, right? If I just keep summoning in zombies and such, he's pretty screwed. There's just no DPS here. Like, I run out of things to micro, guys. I could take Blood Knights if I really want to. I don't need to, though. Yeah, I'm just gonna save for the Graveguard. Maybe adjust my hair a bit. This match is like 10,000 times over, though. Like, there's no way he kills all this in 10 minutes, right? He has some Ushopti, maybe. Jeez, I'm starving, though. I actually cannot think. I am starving. Thank goodness this match is super lopsided. After this match, I'm getting a snack, but I'm not going to BM my opponent. Let's wait till these guys run out of ammo, and then I'll get the Blood Knights. And they'll clean up things just fine. You can still see their formations. Oh my god, you can see their little box formations. That's sad. Hands off the keyboard, the BM. That's true, I did take my hands off the keyboard. This game is like totally over though, right? These guys almost out of ammunition yet. I can't really safely take my my dudes here until yeah, until after he's run out of ammunition. This chariot should not be able to cook super well, though. Would burning head counter the engines? Not really. Sadly. Burning head just... it kind of tickles them, but it doesn't crumble the guys. You really need something like a Wind of Death to really hammer them down. Alright, so he's bought his forces here. So I guess we're grouping up. I'll leave the Grave Guard to fight the Nahakara guys. He is now out of ammunition. So the Grave Guard have nothing in the world that can stop them. But yeah. This army really relies on having enough time here to kill everything, and if they can't do that, it's pretty rough. What is this jankiness going on? Kemler half juking the Kemrian War Sphinx. I'm just gonna run Kemler away though. That should be more than enough. And then we're just gonna keep summoning in the units that are hard to kill. We do win on a single cap, by the way. So as long as I keep spamming in the chaff, then I should be fairly in the clear. Blood Knights will clutch it out. The Healing Corpse card is in. It'll do very well. God, I'm so hungry, man. I just need my opponent to leave. I'm starving. I'm actually starving. And the game is lagging. Come on, man. He's actually trying to starve into that. Oh my god. I am so hungry. Screw it. I'm sorry, Daceberg. I'm sorry, but the lag is one step too far, man. Oh, thank goodness he dropped. All right. My god. Yeah, it says defeat for you when your opponent crashes. It's weird. I don't know why. Five units of skellies with 0 value. That's Wind of Death. Yeah, cereal doesn't cut it, man. I had some cereal. Oh boy. You haven't had lunch yet? I'm sorry, Karav here. I'm sorry. By cereal you mean soup, right? Yeah. Thank goodness. I didn't realize I was dying so much. Jeez. Yeah, my body responds really badly to being hungry. So like when I get hungry, I start like shaking. I feel faint. I can't think. Definitely not tournament ready. Like I have to be so full when the tournament happens, otherwise we're actually just gonna die of hunger. Was zombies the cheapest unit in the game? I think so. I think there was an extended roster unit that cost 50 for a time, but I don't think it exists anymore. Check out the meme channel, will do. Yeah, and just when hungry, the disintegrating. I was disintegrating faster than my own units. Mm-hmm. All right. I am reinvigorated. The problem with playing Warhammer tournaments is that the like adrenaline spike I get from playing games, it distracts me from the hunger. So like when the game starts winding down, like all the hunger hits me at once like a truck, and then I die. Oh my goodness. Feeling good now though. Oh my gosh, Caraft here. Best of luck, man. I was supposed to be your distraction. Oh my goodness. And von Garstein. Woo! Oh my goodness. Feeling good though. 3-0 with vampire counts. That's pretty solid. Yeah, we still number 1 on the leaderboard. Daniken's close with that last win, right? Yeah, Daniken has 4 tourney wins. I have 4 tourney wins. Look at this guy. If I can win today, though, we can keep pace ahead of Daniken. Snack bowls nearby with chopsticks, yeah. Optimally, I prefer food that doesn't get picked up by the microphone when I eat it. Because not everybody likes to hear someone eat. But I think for the tournament, I'll boil some eggs. When is that tournament? It's on the 8th. So I have 1.5 weeks to train for the grand finals. I want to win real bad. Let me see. I have a lot of pretty decent factions. Man, Grand Cathay is such a sketchy pick. Because I just haven't played a lot against Grand Cathay. So Daniken is gonna know. He's gonna know all the strats. At least Charix isn't playing a lot of tournaments. So the factions that Charix knows are just gonna be the typical ones. Let's see, who else do we have? Yeah, like Navigator. A lot of people have very typical faction picks. Attack Speed Enjoyer is going to go for Wood Elves. Boss Toss and Berserk are going to rush. Broccoli Fangirl is going to go Corn. Scrambled Eggs is going to go Coast. The gist of it is, right, if I can just hard counter them, we're good. But those are all meta factions. I already know how to play against them. Daniken's learning Cathay like right now. As we speak. And I refuse to get knocked out of the tournament by Grand Cathay. I do still think they are relatively beatable, but you need the right type of build. Like, I think if I played a best of 99 against Daniken, maybe he'll win the first, 5 games. But as soon as I kind of get the rhythm of like how to break that cookie open, we're good. But like, unless we queue up into him in our tournaments, I'm not going to get that practice. He didn't sign up today. And I wasn't able to play Turns tournament yesterday. I'll just ban it. I'll just ban it, screw it. Who can beat Daniken? No, please. Yeah, it'll be quite the event. At the very least, with our placements, I will face Charix or Daniken. Like, I will have to get to the semifinals before there's even a chance that we face them. So, it's not too bad, right? We'll be playing a best-of-5 series. That's at least manageable. But yeah. We'll see. I get to play... It's 5 games. The last grand finals I played, though, I went 3-1 in all my matches. So it should be okay. I just want my confidence to be higher. That's one of the main reasons why we're training so hard right now. Because I just gotta get my confidence high enough where, like, there's a 100%. That's all I want. What does it take to get a 100% chance to win, you know? Yeah, Daniken has some good position. This is usually what you see when top players pick up these lesser factions. You're so used to people playing these factions at a suboptimal level that you don't actually know how to beat them at a high level. So the skill check gets quite dramatically more difficult. Unless it's Skaven. If it's Skaven, then yeah, it's over. You're done for, man. Hopefully Turn lets us do a global ban too. If there's one thing that makes me really strong in the grand finals, is that typically Turn allows 1 global ban. You take a faction out of the best of 5 entirely. And for me, while my Slanesh is really good, it's about the same strength as my other top factions. So no global ban can actually hurt me. We just know too many factions. Meanwhile, like Daniken, ban the Dark Elves, right? Done. I banned Daniken's Dark Elves. I banned Charix's High Elves. Navigator's Wood Elves. Take Norska off of Boss Toss. It's easy peasy. And when they're down a faction, these players are significantly worse. At least in a best of 3 format. Most of them only know like 3 factions really well. We reduce that to 2. They get 2 wins, I get 3. Easy victory, right? Daniken's been playing Skaven. There's no way he actually crushes it with Skaven though. Skaven's too much of a meme, man. I ain't losing to Skaven. I say to myself, hands sweating. All right, at Goblins. Round 4. Round 4 has begun. And we're up against B6. Oh my gosh, been a while. Hey. The return. The glorious return of B6. Dang. Are they playing Skaven? How in this best... How in this best of... or in these 4 games did I match into Skaven 3 times? Is everyone playing Skaven because Daniken's playing Skaven? What's going on? Maybe all the Skaven mains are just getting superbly unlucky. But Dang, man. Skaven for days. At least if Dana can play Skaven, I'll be fairly ready for it, right? Alright. Lord Wise. What do we want? Terror is preferred. Which actually gives me a pretty funny idea, okay? Okay, hear me out, guys, but this is actually an insane strat. You will see. Will you be impressed? Not as sure about that, but you'll be seeing something. A little bit of a wacko play. Let's see here. Oh, nice. I have just enough money for all that. Then I want one of these. We'll cut that. We'll sub this in. Yeah, seems like a good build to me. I don't think there's a whole lot Skaven can do in this situation. Oh wait, map. The map. What makes him so bad, Skaven? CA buffed all the cavalry in the game to be significantly better versus infantry. And Skaven now can no longer stop cavalry because 4 rat ogres is simply not enough. They're a pretty infantry heavy faction. And yeah, it happens. It happens. B6 still hasn't given up on Skaven after all this time, yeah. Pretty crazy. You know, I would have given up. Everyone's playing Skaven because Ponty is the most based player, obviously. Yeah, I would love people to play more Skaven. They feel so much easier to fight than like every other faction. Skaven infantry are not extra low mass, but they have no high mass units outside of Storm Vermin. And Storm Vermin are just too expensive. Alright, so we're either playing on the arena. Huge map. Proving Grounds, which is a smaller map. And Dunes of Cain. Dunes of Cain and Proving Grounds are probably the best for me here. As a Dowie main, I saw 3 Skaven players and switched to Grand Cathay. Yeah. Play Proving. Alright. Proving Grounds will be. Special shout out to Trizik, by the way, for helping the adminning. It was actually a fairly large admin task that I had to deal with. But thank goodness for this guy, man. Saved my butt. Made it so I can actually build my army. You know, the fun thing about facing this many Skaven, if we make it to the grand finals, us winning so many matches in a row will increase the odds of these players also making it to the grand finals. Also, what's Navigator playing today? They beat Korn. Navigator beat Korn with green skins? Dang, man. Sent Boss Toss into the pits. I don't know how he did that. Maybe he just had a mean kite. The people with 3 wins right now, it's B6 Navigator, myself. Boss Toss is likely to win his next match. I think he'll make it. We could see some Z-turn action. Maybe some Broccoli Fangirl. What's Broccoli Fangirl playing? Beastmen. Dang. Everyone's playing off factions today. If only Skaven had a specialized unit that could force cavalry to stop in their tracks. Shame they don't exist. Yup. Man. It's also pretty sad that even after a whole year, CA did not adjust that. But anyways, we talked about some fun shenanigans. I need terror. And I need it at a cheap price. Know who's a cheap terror causing lord? That won't get sniped by any Skaven shenanigans? This Chad. The Chaddest of all Chads. The one true emperor. Give it up for Vlad! Clipping through that random zombie. But yeah, I think he'll actually be super annoying to dislodge. I can also put the White Kings away from him so that we don't have flinching. 20 stack versus 20 stack, but I got 36 units. He has 33. So we are actually seeing a Skaven Mantide. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. He's taking forever to deploy his army, though. Deploying your army is a sign of weakness, by the way. If you deploy slowly, it means you also probably can't reposition your army very quickly in an actual battle. Or you're just really particular about making sure your lines are perfect. But I like to think it's a sign of weakness. Alright, Brood Horror. We got a Grace here. Some Globadiers. I think we definitely want to spam dogs here. The reason dogs are great is because they can chase off units that route off. Because absolutely units are going to be routing off, right? Let's get another dog unit over here. Run away from the broods. I'll stall the cap point some. And I believe Vlad might actually be well suited just to YOLO his way into them Skaven lines. Getting a good little bit of delay here. And then the question is, do we take a big fight? I think we don't. I think there's no reason to take a fight. I already have a double cap and my guys are pretty good at at securing positions. That double scab scrath should, delete. Some clan rat spears, that's good. I kind of have time to just move in with the crypt ghouls. Let's get some more horrors in here. And the White Kings, they don't really care about the brood horrors very much. So overall, not too bad. If the White Kings die, it's actually a fairly good situation for us. But I don't exactly want them to die for free. So we're going to go for the big push now. The biggest thing to manage here is definitely gonna be that glorious, glorious doggy micro. So let's see if we can get it done. That infantry blob, by the way. Yup. That'll go pretty well for us. Vlad has already gone his first terror route. And the White Kings, they're not gonna die anytime soon. I realistically don't have to worry about them very much. Gets a summon. It's actually a little bit on the late side. And this is the part where we get some big routes. I think those units over there, yep. That's double scab scrath and a half. And you can see why it wasn't worth it to fight the White Kings. Because they are simply not dying now. They are completely fine in this situation, and the Brood Horrors would just be wasting their time. So really, in a sense, my opponent kind of just lost a lot of vigor on his guys for nothing there. And that's the very, very important thing you got to keep in mind when dealing with the White Kings. This is a triple cap situation now. And if I can just squeeze my doggos in here, I presume most of his guys are just gonna get routed off. Plus I have some Karen race. Vlad is continuously a very strong point of terror. I don't even really need another scab scrath to win this. It looks like his guys are simply getting routed off a little bit too aggressively. But I will be ready for it, just in case we have need of it. Dang, those White Kings really don't route though. White Kings are having the time of their lives, man. And we have basically perfect vigor because of the corpse carts. There you go. His lines are in absolute disarray right now. And yeah, I think I will get a cav unit over here to clean up. Skaven seem pretty easy to break. Yep. Can pretty easily just route those guys off the battlefield now. And now with most of his range dead, there's not really a good way for my opponent to actually clear up the rest of this chaff. He basically only has single entities, right? So there's no world he'll actually be able to re-secure points here in time for a victory. Also, what's with this Brood Whore? Why did it take so long to rally? That was kind of weird. He also got some Globadiers back. But the chastening went pretty well over there. The doggos are super good for just farming value. Making sure that the Skaven ain't ever coming back. And I just have to hunker down on this glorious triple cap for a few seconds. Or a couple more minutes. And there should be absolutely nothing left. Plus, I can get another Wind of Death soon. Took a little while for him to summon some Stormburn. It's 1,000 gold.
The living will join us.
So that's a 1,000 gold unit right there. My bad, that was a 1,000 gold unit. Hell yeah. 366 kill Vlad. What an absolute Chad. I think he was expecting me to bring big SEs. Like, I think he thought I was going to bring, like, a Terrorgeist or something as my big source of terror, and then I would just never be able to really land with my Lord. But Vlad brings a source of terror that's never going to leave. I think that's actually pretty good tech to try out versus Skaven. May I remind you, this is about 1,300 gold here. Oh my god, almost 500 kills on Vlad now. Just a casual 500 kill Vlad.
Unending glory is yours.
And there we go. Greatest success. And that's why you bring Winds of Death instead of Invocation of Nahek. Dude, Winds of Death is sick. Mega Chad. Look at that. 3k. 3k value. Oh my god. Last game our hero had that number in 30 seconds. That's true, those skeletons. His Brood Horrors did nothing. They definitely did not stop the White Kings. And the bell was not enough to preserve leadership. I'd say, yeah, that went pretty well. How'd the dogs do? You can see the cleanup crew on the dogs. 337 kills. 223. Dogs are very good. Super duper good. Cairn rates are pretty fun when you're shutting down all their magic damage. I'd say that went pretty well. Now hopefully these Skaven players make it to the finals. The more I play this, the more I feel like indeed vampire counts are good versus Skaven. Who would have guessed? Yeah, almost 200 kills on the White King. He must have been the second one to get the Scab Scrath off. Wind of Death living up to its name. You know what used to do more damage? When you overcast it, it would actually just one-shot all infantry that it touched. It did get a wee bit nerfed. Magic in Warhammer 2 was crazy, man. It was so strong, people would run 2 casters as Norska. So you could have Burning Head and Pendulum. Now it's much more mild. It's just a great Skaven plan. Wonderful, wonderful Skaven plan. Filled with backstabbery. What should Skaven do against vampire counts? Beg for buffs. I'm pretty sure the matchup is near impossible. Because we've seen people try basically everything as Skaven. And even if your opponent is bad, there's not a lot you can do. I guess, okay, if your opponent is really gonna misplay super hard, the best way to play Skaven is probably you take the Avalanche Mortars. You take the Teeth Breakers and the Natty Boobos, and you snipe their Lord. Man, they just don't really have melee though. I'm looking at their melee units, they got nothing. Yeah, what the crap are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? I don't know. You take the Council Guard and a Blight Scab, and you just pray that they don't have. Those are a lot of RORs, but yeah, you pray that they don't have White Kings. You pray that they don't have Wind of Death. You pray that they can't dodge, and you pray that their Lord gets sniped. And after all that happens, you still need a way to actually kind of break through into through their infantry. And your best bet for that is not much. There's not much, but like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to kill Vampire Count's infantry as Skaven. They actually have like nothing. They have no infantry clear, man. Warp Grinder spam. No, Warp Grinders cost too much. They just don't work. Yeah, I guess if your opponent takes Graveguard and they YOLO them into the Avalanche Mortars and they all die, then I guess you can win a Skaven. I guess. I don't know. You run Plague Monks. They got Frenzy. And then yeah, then you just hope. You hope that it's enough. But these are definitely some big playmakers. Like, these guys will get a little bit of work done. Magic-wise, I don't think you have a lot of great options, but Crack's Call can be okay. If you're not running Flensing with Icket, maybe consider Crack's Call. This spell does 70 damage. Winds of Death deals 72, but it's more AP. It doesn't go as far, but if you need something that can kill Vampire Count's infantry really quickly, Crack's Call is actually okay. Also costs the same. So like, maybe you run around with Icket and unlimited power, and somehow they don't snipe your Lord and you can just clear infantry with this. He does have a lot of magic, so I could actually see this being fairly decent, actually, if they don't dodge it. I would take it over Scorch for sure. Yeah. I think I would take it over Scorch. Scorch doesn't seem to do a lot of damage. Crack's Call does more damage overcasted. Are you kidding me? It's literally double. You can see it right now. It adds non-AP damage, but you're playing against counts. You're like doubling its damage against light armor for only 5 winds of magic. That's pretty good. Yeah, if you take Doomflayers and Icket, you can't capture the points. Next challenge is just playing as Skaven. I already did that. It was suffering. I think Skaven, they might, especially with these recent games, they might be the worst faction on Total Tavern. Tomb Kings was fighting for the spot earlier, but yeah. I knocked Skaven down to a 43% win rate, probably. With 3 Skaven losses in a row. Oh, you mean for Scorch? I haven't checked out Scorch. Do you overcast Scorch or do you not overcast it? Oh no, you're saying overcast Scorch actually does damage. Really? Skaven. I'm gonna try it against 2 Spearmen. Is Scorch actually insane if you overcast it? Let me see this. Could just be way better than Crack's Call. I guess if you think about it, it should be like a Mega Scabscrath, right? What was that? Mini Scorch Caster. Wait, does it just go further? Is that what it does? Oh, okay, it's just a wider area. See, the reason I don't like that is because vampire counts will get a lot of healing back. I kind of like the Crack's Call because it'll actually shatter the units instead of crumbling them. But Overcast Scorch does give you a pretty wide area. Is Warriors of Chaos actually as bad as their win percentage? I think they're okay. There's a lot of better factions. They might actually be where they should be. But yeah, let's overcast Crack's Call on the Icky Claw. So this one has a little bit more of a wind-up.
Warpstone magic.
The range is not bad. The damage is pretty sick though. Like that should definitely kill some basic skeletons. It's expensive. I think Scorch will probably get more bang for your buck over the long run, but this is better for shattering units. It didn't actually finish off the Spearman like Winds of Death though. In the end, Winds of Death is just better. I think you're kind of screwed no matter what you do. Would you say there's an underrated faction based on the win rates? I'd say Tomb Kings is too low. Chaos is only a smidge too low. Lizardmen I think could be way higher. Watching Charix play Lizardmen makes me feel like they're actually quite threatening. And then everything else seems fairly correct in terms of their positioning. Hey, who brought the Chaos Demon win rate down? It's 55% now. What the crap? That really shows how inflated Chaos Demons are, by the way. As soon as I stop playing them, they go from number 1 to number 4. Sad. But anyways, Boss Toss is fading Potato, the OG Potato. And the top 4 right now is looking like me, Navigator, B6, Broccoli Fangirl, and I would put my money on Boss Toss to win their match. We need double the gold for Skaven. I feel like it's only going to be a small change. I think a small change and suddenly Skaven are super good. As soon as they have any type of answer for cavalry, they suddenly become amazing. Because they were super meta about a year ago. Because I do think they're a pretty good shooty faction. Like, they're good at taking out other factions at range. They got pretty nice skirmishers and all that. So, yeah. Maybe like a small magic buff, but anyways, I'll be back in a second. While we wait, get some water, do some stretches, people. And we're back. Bring back Skaven slave lords. Oh my god, the old meta. Alright, so indeed boss toss did win. Daceberg is unfortunately not gonna make it. And I believe neither their opponent will. So we have our top 5 players. It's time for tiebreakers. Breakers. Left is top bracket. Spec slot for B6 versus Broccoli Fangirl. At boss toss. At navigator. Stand by. Actually, we can advance the bracket real quick. And then we should be good. Yeah, so I'm winning, or I'm facing the player of the tiebreaker. Navigator can actually play semis now. And I just need a spec slot. Spec slot, please. All right. B6 versus Broccoli Fangirl. There's gonna be Skaven versus Beastmen. You think Skaven can beat Beastmen? You think Skaven will win at all today? Skaven would be way better if the skirmishers could actually outrange or outrun other skirmishers. You know, surprisingly enough, when I played against Charks as Skaven, he did actually manage it fairly well. Keeping his skirmishers safe while getting value with them. It was rather terrifying. Alright, and here we go. Spectating whoever may be facing us next. I would say, I'm actually really wondering, does Beastmen still beat Skaven? Weirdly enough, Beastmen don't have that many terror tactics. Butchers of Kalkengard, though, they're pretty menacing. My prediction is they bring a bunch of Gore Herd and the Butchers of Kalkengard, and the front line routes way too fast before the Globadiers can actually get them off. I think that's traditionally how this goes. If Broccoli Fangirl's feeling insane, they're gonna bring a Jabber Scythe. We'll get some jibba jab action going. That could be pretty good. Centaurs should do well, yeah. Centaurs will be good versus Skaven. But on the Skaven side, their skirmisher should win against Beastmen. Skirmish. So maybe we see like a 6 skirmisher army for B6. Is Menace from below somehow a thing? No. But you can summon in Clan Rats. That's the closest thing you have to it. What would you bring to the table if you were playing Lizardmen into Vampire counts? You definitely got to get a lot of value with your Salamanders. So like probably just Salamanders and some fairly chonky infantry. It seems like Croxagores are doing pretty well for Lizardmen right now, especially because you can heal them. So probably something along those lines, like an ROR Croxagore with some Rev Crystals. And then like a Carnosaur in reserve with a bunch of Saurus. That'd probably be not bad. Lizardmen can actually be a little scary versus counts because their skinks have such high capture weight. You can lose the capture weight as counts if you're not careful. The dog spam should still be fairly good though. But they can't really deal with the salamanders if cavalry's nearby. So I think that's basically the play. You just yeah, you just salamander kite for a bit. Oh boy. Yeah, I think Charks' Lizardmen and Daniken's Cathay are two factions that I just don't really feel like dealing with in the tournament. I'll probably try to ban them as best as I can. And hopefully I don't get baited out into a bad matchup. Now last I played Empire into his Cathay, it was fairly close. We won it. But I feel like with an updated build, Daniken's gonna wreck my face. Though I don't know. Empire in theory outshoots Cathay, right? Because you have your you got your Hellstorms. You got Hellstorms, right? You just outshoot them and then you're good. Get some Outriders, bully them up. Empire's probably good enough into Cathay. But man, I don't want to rush them. That sounds like an insta loss. I feel like Lizardmen is still one faction I really have to learn properly. I feel like they're really strong, but I just don't have the time to invest into investigating them. Any moment now, by the way. I feel like B6 is going to bring double Brood Horror again. In the last match, it took him as kind of a solution to single entities. Surely they beat the Butchers of Kalkengard, right? Double solar engine. Man, talk about old school. Maybe if I can find a really terrain heavy map, I can beat the Lizardmen. Does anyone know if dogs kill salamanders, by the way? I don't know if dogs actually kill salamanders. Too much of an unknown matchup. Screw that business. If I play enough Grand Cathay and Lizardmen, though, I can kind of learn how to deal with them. But it's only going to be one game in a best of 5. Is that really something that I need? I don't think so. Yeah, maybe after the big tourney we can do some delving. Usually the best way I learn to, or the best way I can learn to deal with the faction is to just play them. That's always what I recommend for anyone. If you are having trouble beating something, join them. And trust me, you will quickly discover that their job is not as easy as they make it seem. Unless it's vampire counts, in which case you'll just win. I don't think I've really lost much as vampire counts. Even against wood elves, we kind of just walk forward. Same with Coast. The Mantide playstyle seems kind of insanely strong, I'm not gonna lie. Is that glass really big or am I just hallucinating? It's like, you know, Smaller than my hand. It's pretty normal. If I hold it here, though, it looks massive. All right. Who's gonna win it? I'd say this map is slightly Beastmen favored, but it's gonna come down to the builds. Are we gonna see some avalanche mortars? Place your bets. Type 1 if you think there's gonna be avalanche mortars and the Skaven dies. No avalanche mortars. So, it's an Ungor tide. Some Pestigors. Let's see here. Dang, that's a huge Ungor tide. There's the Butchers of Kalkengard. Brave Shaman has Traderkin. Counting up to 15 units on the Beastman side. Skaven say, you think you can go wide? I'll show you wide. Goes for 19 units. Buffering with surely many Skaven slaves. But there's some elite stuff here too. We got triple storm vermin. Couple clan rats. And gutter runners are actually the elite version of the skirmisher. Skirmishing unit for Skaven. So that's pretty cool. You usually don't see these guys too often. They're pretty hyped though. Good deeps, very fast. And as long as they stay relatively close to this core, they're probably not going to get caught by cavalry. Skrolky over here got all his sick abilities. He actually doesn't have his direct damage thing. That's pretty crazy. So Skrolk has an AoE kind of final transmutation-esque ability that casts on himself. But he also has kind of like a spirit leech ability that used to be taking a ton in Warhammer 2. I guess on Legendary, it also increases the HP of Lords, which changes things a little bit. But I'm a little surprised. Are you winning, son? Indeed. The winner of this will face us in the semifinals. But already, the battle is getting a little hot. So Skirmishers got a bit of value. Naturally. None of the value is being tracked in the slightest. Very nice. But this is a minor Skaven advantage. Another volley. Another 0 value. Love to see it. Does it have something to do about expendable units? Does the damage tracker not track damage to expendables? Because that would be pretty hilarious. Yeah, Skulk's a little overpriced. But he has some good abilities. Ooh, Traderkin. No. How'd that not hit Skrolk? Kinda surprising. But the main fight is on. Butchers and Kalkengard are in. Right up against Skaven slaves. They will surely rout them. There actually was a Jabber Scythe, okay. There was a bit of Jibba Jab. It has a Mortis engine for low leadership units. And with these clan rats getting surrounded, and so many of their allies running, the leadership's not exactly looking the bestest. Now, Ungor are not going to kill clan rats really well on the flanks. Looks like Broccoli Fangirl wants to change that with a little bit of a test scored chariot action. But this is only the beginning. Because while these guys have been burning vigor, charging into these units, the Storm Vermin have been holding strong. They have a decent amount of vigor. And they will probably trade fairly well here. But if they get terror routed, life is not going to look super good. On the flanks, it's fairly even. The chariots haven't gotten too much work yet. But the left flank for the Skaven, not exactly looking the best. Now, he did cast Bless with Filth. All right. That does imbue these guys with poison, which is actually a pretty big DPS decrease. But the Storm Vermin still are not really doing that much damage. They're much more of a holding unit. And if one of them routes, we would expect the other ones to start routing pretty soon too. Many of the skirmishers are kind of suffering. But value trading is technically in the way of the Skaven. I wouldn't trust it though. This looks just terrible. Looks absolutely terrible for the Skaven. This Jabberslite is going ham. But we are seeing the first few Beastmen units getting routed off. So one Chaos Warhound is gone. Somehow, some way, the Ungor Herd actually lived. He cast a Wither to reduce the armor. That's not going to make a huge difference though. And now most of the range units are routing, which means basically there's just Storm Vermin left. And when you only have Storm Vermin left, you're really prone to just getting Cycle Charge into Oblivion. You can see Broccoli Fangirls actually taking a rather big advantage of that. Sending in the Pestigores to attack the Storm Vermin, where they will uptrade fairly well. Bogging down the Storm Vermin and with other infantry. And disengaging with the Butchers of Kalkengard, so that they can continue to romp around and terror out absolutely everything. Map positioning is also pretty cruel here. This map is rather small, actually. So we're seeing some pretty consistent route offs for units I would otherwise rally about here. Not the best map for Skaven ever, but mayhaps the other maps were just a little worse. And yeah, this is just looking a little sus. Yeah, Jabberslite animation is pretty wild. Doesn't actually have a lot of rally though. And it's been getting poked to death by all these guys. But at the very least, it's a relatively cheap source of terror with a lot of disruption. I personally prefer Manticores because you can split them up. They're faster, more maneuverable. But I'm not going to blame Broccoli Fangirl for taking the Jabberslite. Definitely very hype. There's another Wither. Is it going to do anything? Dodges all those shots with its attack animation. Brutal. And yet another unit. Another unit bites the dust. Terrified. But will they rally? Oh no! Oh geez! Another clan rat bites the dust. The close edge of the map. Now this one no, that's not Storm Vermin. That's clan rats. Where's the Storm Vermin at? There's one Halberd here. They have actually paid for themselves. If you look at this Storm Vermin, about 600 value. They haven't been doing bad, but they're never really going to farm up value here, right? And Beastmen are clearly ahead. I don't care what you say about the damage tracker. Beastmen are absolutely clearly ahead at this point. It's 21 units to 18. Most of the Skaven units are routing. And the Rat Ogres are down over here. Storm Vermin are going down. That one Pestigore is actually killing it right now. Never mind. What's killing off the Storm Vermin then? It can't be the Ungor. Maybe it's just something else. But the Skaven arm is just too slow now. Okay, yeah, maybe there's one dog, but there's no way they can actually contest this blob, right? So even if they blob up themselves, at most, they're going to capture 1 point. But look at the tickets. Beastmen are rocking almost 1,000 tickets on a triple cap. That means this game, if Skaven don't capture a point in 2 minutes, they're basically done for. More likely, they're going to have to capture a point in the next 1 minute. Otherwise, they're completely screwed. And I don't think that can happen. I think the Beastmen can basically go AFK here. And the Skaven would struggle to get this point in under 1 minute. Though there are a few routes, but is there any capture weight? Okay, so let's take a look. So supplies is actually not bad. There are 2 really beat up clan rats slowly capturing point number 3. So if there was a way for Skaven to win it, somehow, some way, Ikit Claw drops a nuke and clears out all the Beastmen infantry, right? These units move onto the middle point and shove off the archers, while some dog units capture the flank with the spare money. Unfortunately, Ikit Claw nukes are not in multiplayer. So, yeah, it's been bad. These Storm Vermin just don't really have the deeps either. Okay, like, yeah, this one's gotten 1500 value, but it's gonna take them another 8 minutes to get that value back. Jabber's Scythe is still alive, too, by the way. Are the Butchers or Kalkengard still alive? I think the Butchers did die, so that's a small win. But as long as there's even a single source of terror, Skaven are never going to be able to actually get on point. Yeah, there's a pretty good Beastmen Chariot play, too. They're actually still alive, still farming value. They've paid for themselves, and they ultra disrupted the range, which is exactly what they're looking for. I guess they will capture this point. But getting your first point at 1,300 is not really good unless your opponent's army wiped. At least as far as capture point judgments are concerned. Even if they did capture both points right now, we'd still need 2 minutes. So Skaven tap out. And that means we're facing the Beastmen. How exciting. Butchers actually didn't get that much value. Jabber did significantly better. Pestigors eventually got their value back. And Skrulk, it looks like his ability was not really that worth it. Skirmishers were okay. But yeah. That's Spooky Beastmen for you. And now we will have to face them next. Now, I am playing vampire counts. But Beastmen do have a few tricksy plays that they can use to make life difficult for us. So we must be careful. What we got? We got Brave Alley, we have Dried Floodplain, and Decrepit Moor. I'll ban... Dried Floodplain's not bad, because I can route them off the map. I'll ban Moor, I guess. I guess I'll ban Decrepit Moor. Pretty sure that's the biggest map that we're working with here. And then we'll get Broccoli Fangirl in here, and then all will be well. He's streaming like almost every day. Who? At the moment, I'm only planning to stream like 4 days a week on average. It's like barely over 50%. All right. Tournament is set up. Let's see how this goes. So vampire counts. I almost want to run Vlad again, but I don't think that's a great idea. It should be overall fairly chill though. Beastmen are not the end of the world. I just have to be a little wary about their Butchers of Kalkengard. Gotta actually kill them off, and if we do that, we're good. They want to play on Dried Floodplain. So that's actually the map that we just saw. How very exciting. It actually does have some pretty good Vanguard points. But Beastmen can also Vanguard. So Vanguarding with Crypt Ghouls here is probably not the best idea in the world. Mortis Engine in reserve is a must. And then the big question, do I want Graveguard or Crypt Horrors? Both have their uses. I'm definitely gonna need to kill off some Ungor Raiders I think that's kind of what the entire matchup revolves around. But yeah, I feel like Graveguard, Beastmen have enough. They have enough anti-infantry options where it's probably not the smartest thing ever to go for that. Yeah. So we'll be a little wary. But overall, I do like this build. They said BRB, alright. Anyone know if Blood Knights are good here? Pretty sure they just get completely outmaneuvered. Do I want Fellbats? Not especially. You know, Karen rates are actually probably not the worst versus Beastmen. I guess they have Zongors. But like, what are the odds that he brings Zongors here, right? On the off chance that they don't take that, then I have Karen rates. I don't know, I've kind of been liking Karen rates more and more. Even though they're technically supposed to be a meme unit. It's either that or I'm spamming Crypt Ghouls. Black Coach? No way, Jose. Maybe one Karen Wraith. Maybe just the one, but no more. Anyone know if Vargeists are good ever? I've never been impressed by Vargeist, guys. I'm sorry. Every time I look at Vargeists, I don't know. They just die all the time. How do you keep those guys alive? Like, I've seen Maximilian use them well. I just can't replicate it. They're just so squishy, man. That's a me problem, though. I just really don't know how to micro these low HP units. 3 days till Halloween. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna do a Halloween stream. I actually might take Friday off. I might take Friday off. But everyone's gonna be enjoying Halloween anyways, right? But yeah, I kind of want to just take it easy for a bit. Maybe I can play a campaign in my own time. Ghost Max is a wild meme, and it's pretty garbage. Die to everything, man. Ghosts are weak to all forms of damage. Manfred stream. Just whip out one of my cosplays. Yeah, that's true. If Skrulk had his single target leech ability, it could have killed the Jabberslave. That's true. Dude is semi-retired at this point. I feel tired. My 30s are coming, people. My 30s are coming. I'm getting old. Anyways, 30s is not old, though. 30s is not actually old. But, yeah, man. I do kind of want to work on the next video, though. I think I will take Friday off. On Thursday, though, if all goes well, we might actually get a best of 9 versus Flying Taco. I'm very excited for that. Most of us are older than Ent, correct. I can't believe today's Tuesday. I thought today was Wednesday. Dang it. No. All right, here we go. So, fairly standard build. The points on this map are actually quite close, so that should be to our advantage. We can play for the high ground, because if Broccoli Fangirl plays for the low ground, we can just push on in. The trees, they only benefit the Beastmen, so I'd rather not fight in the woods. And I think I'll just park my army right here. This map is actually quite good for vampire counts, I feel. Just gonna sit in the dark, eat candy, and not give anything away. I live in an apartment. Halloween celebrations are in the lobby, I believe. So unless I want to head down to that, not too much to do. Ready? Good luck, have fun. So I got my Strigoi. I got my Scab Scratch. We got the dog spam. So this time I got the Dire Pack. Crypt Ghouls. We got a Mortis Engine. What's not to love? It's just standard fare vampire count shenanigans. I'll be ready to resummon all this too. And the theory is that Ungor Raiders, they just don't do enough damage to corpse cards. So, long as they stay alive, I should be good. I will need some pretty good dog micro though. That's why there are no Zoomer memes in the video. Yes. All I know is something 6-7. But I'm not gonna try to actually do the meme properly. Don't want to be cringe. Saying cringe is already weird. Feels very unnatural. But alright, we got some cav over here. Nothing too crazy. It's just a bunch of cav. Oh, the Centaur throwing axes. I got Doom and Darkness. They got Traitorkin. Yeah, it should be fairly good as soon as I park myself here. Getting a little overextended with the horrors. Gotta not make a silly misplay there and let them get killed. But I'd say so far so good. I can't use dogs to cap this point. That would be a little risque. I do actually really appreciate that Traitorkin though. Actually, pretty good dodge with the Ungor spears. And I did waste the Scab Scrath when I coulda jumped the archer, so some pretty solid play from Broccoli Fangirl so far. But will they be able to deal with 1 million dogs? Alright. So there's the dog tide. We're gonna get the Crypt Ghouls right on top of these guys. And then hopefully I jump these archers with the full might of a spooky vampire count's army. And then victory shall be ours. The center line position has been exquisitely pushed in. Centaurs will definitely be routed off to that quantity of dogs. And that's a very expensive unit, by the way. You actually really don't want them routing off like that. Then if I summon some Crypt Ghouls on top of these guys, then that should just be enough to win it. Oh my god. Oh no. Well, game over, people. Game over. I got my Scab Scraths for the win. Yes. Vampire counts. The most balanced faction you have ever seen in your entire life. Yeah, those Vikings, they had a good time. Let me tell you, they had a pretty good day there. Now, many of those archers will rally, but those losses are going to be quite vicious, and recapturing territory will be rather difficult for my opponent here. If I can just sit on the triple cap for a decent amount of time, I believe we should have the victory. Plus the tree cover here will be helping us out. Corpse cart should be pretty good. And then I think we'll just keep spamming dogs, more or less. I will have another scab scrath in a few seconds. That'll be good. Very good route over there of those guys. And with the corpse cart in position, feeling pretty comfortable. There's scab scrath number 1. There's scab scrath number 2. And then hopefully we just get a big old nasty route over there with the Doom and Darkness. Beastmen are really not a fan of that. And indeed, the Corn Gores look to be suffering pretty bad. He gets a pretty good Traderkin, but the rule of thumb is that as the vampire counts, you benefit from blobbing way more than you get punished for blobbing. So just blob. It doesn't matter if they have Traderkin. As long as you get stuck in the fight, you'll be good. Smart pull away because they saw the breath attack was coming. Still not going to be the prettiest of circumstances. And if the White Kings die, I don't really care. Because at the end of the day, White Kings are there to distract. And if they are in the process of dying, that means that they are indeed distracting. With them already using all their scab scraths, there's really not a big deal. And with the second advent of doggy summons, now no Beastmen unit is ever going to rally. This, I would say, went fairly well. Ain't no way this Centaur does anything here. Against this much garbage? I guess it did charge a dog, so maybe mild misplay on my end, but overall looking good. White King is keeping the Lord busy. I will say though, my opponent is probably slightly up trading there, but one dead White King is certainly not going to be enough. And now I have 1,000,000 dogs. These archers simply cannot get line of sight. With the power of trees invested in me, they shall struggle. Got a couple Corn Gores over here making a play for the middle. Not a big dealio. As we got dogs, we got vanguards, got more of these guys. And if the dogs just ignore the Corn Gores, realistically, there should be no issue. Very nice. That's a good dog play. Man, dude, I can't believe I'm actually using dogs again. 50 years. But they are finally once again meta. And there we go. There goes another archer unit. These guys are healing up so much, by the way. Not enough to actually see their heal cap just yet. But they are extraordinarily healthy. Got no issues on that side. This little pocket over here is now being broken. Though somehow my opponent actually still has capture weight. Can we get some dogs in there maybe? I don't think we're in trouble though. Like this is a very simple, straightforward win. And there we go. Just barely not enough capture weight. So nice. And unless we see a magic damage unit, those Karen rates, they should be okay versus Centaurs. They actually didn't hit back super hard. Mildly disappointing, but a win's a win. And now we're into the Vampire Count's late game where I'll be resummoning all my infantry. But actually none of my infantry actually died, so I guess we don't even need that. And not a single, no, one skeleton. I literally lost just one skeleton. That's disgusting. We got the triple chevron too for the capture weight. Pretty gross, if I do say so myself. And then we bring down the hammer and mass rout them off. My opponent knows it's over. GG, well played. Vampire counts. A perfectly balanced faction with no skewed matchups to speak of whatsoever. The dogs were sick. The amount of disruption that they can get off is crazy, and they'll uptrade fairly well. The mispositioning of the archers naturally gave my White King some Ultima Scabscrath value. And the Traderkins, while they did technically pay for themselves, these things healed up so much HP. Just a ludicrous amount of HP. That I don't think Traderkins were really going to hold us back. So a solid win as the Vampire counts. Which means we are now up against Navigator. So Broccoli Fangirl is playing Beastmen. Alright, here we go. Time for the grand finals. Yo, I'm Vampire counts. Let's get them invited. Well played to Broccoli Fangirl, but sometimes matchups be brutal. Navigator is playing Greenskins. I'll ban Cave. Alright. Vampire counts versus Greenskins. It's actually a very similar situation. It's all about the archers, really. Yeah, 1700 on the ROR dogs. They were killing Cav. Pretty sick. I summoned them, what, twice? Maximillionaire, I wish I could queue into Skaven, Tomb King, Skaven, Beastmen. Yeah, Greenskins, it can be a little tricky, but I think it's still manageable for us. Especially with the advent of the doggy meta. I feel pretty good. But yeah, back to back, very good matchups. Please do an elite infantry build. They are really bad versus Greenskins. I don't want to throw in the finals again. I have a tendency of throwing in the finals when I try to get too fancy. And that's just not as fun as I would wish. So they want to play on Bleakspire Labor Camp. I'd say that's generally pretty good for us, right? And I have an idea. We'll see if it actually works. Maybe I just get absolutely dumpstered on here. But I feel like this should be okay-ish. Dang, barely not enough. Barely not enough money. 208. $208 to spend. All this stuff is pretty good versus Beastmen though. I mean, not Beastmen, Greenskins. Yeah, this should be relatively chill. Vlad? Nah, not Vlad. Vlad is fun, but in the end, he is still just a meme. We might have to face up against giants. They do pretty badly versus crypt horrors. So, I'm not super worried about them, but you gotta be wary. Greenskins also have pretty decent mass. Some cavalry and such. They can be a little annoying. This is actually a pretty fun tech that we're trying out. Yeah, sure, let's try this. I'm really interested to see what my opponent has to bring here. Oh, but in theory, the dogs should do well. I actually don't have White Kings in this army. I'm gonna try and deal with the archers purely with the doggy spam. And I have Banshees in reserve. Very exciting. 8 is great. Correct win. Thank you so much for the 8 months. Very much appreciated, good sir. Hopefully you've been enjoying your time here. Crimson Killers. If he goes through Crimson Killers, I should just be able to kill him with the Crypt Horrors, right? I am aware they actually are a little spicy against White Kings. But if I just chaff spam the guy to death, I think we win this. So this is the ultra chaff spam. Kill the archers with dire wolves if I need to route the front line. I got Banshees. They should be fairly annoying units to dislodge from any particular situation. If you go super tall, I have a Mortis engine. But first things first, let's get these doggies in play. And skirmishers shouldn't be able to out DPS Crypt Horror regen plus a corpse cart. We got terror stuff like the Doom and Darkness shenanigans. He doesn't have a snipeable Lord, so none of that. But that also means he doesn't have a guy to rampage my dragon, so overall, I think we're good. Should be able to control the high ground too. No sources of rampage, just a big paunch. All right. He does have Rugloods, some Orc boys. It's a very thick infantry line. Nothing exceptionally terrifying. Now I did accidentally land my Lord. He's gonna get bullied by the squig a little bit. Misplay will be solved with a mild charge on his colossal squig. So I guess it ain't too bad.
We have a victory point. Keep it.
And then I think we're just gonna go for the free pick on the high ground. These savage orcs are extremely vulnerable in this situation. And with the dog charge plus Doom and Darkness, they might just die, though we'll have to see. Can we get the deeps in? They actually take my dogs to Pound Town. Kind of wish I had the third dog. It's technically still an uptrade though. And with the dogs living, I think we're still okay. We're still in the clear. So that's going to be 2 capture points for us. Generally, if you have that point lead, you're pretty happy as the Vampire Counts player. and a couple savage orcs on the flank side, they're not going to be a huge issue at all, I don't think. I got my dog squad. I got my lord. And if he uses more cav, I'm just gonna command of the unliving them. And that should be everything I need. Let's see though. I'm kind of hoping that my opponent overcommits on the cav. But trading one dog for a savage orc and another dog for a boar boy is usually what many would consider to be a good situation. He's taking the opportunity to take a fairly strong fight here though. So we got to be a little worried. He's going for, yeah, the big buffs. But will the acid burpa be enough? And will a banshee also cause issues for my opponent? We'll see. I've taken pretty efficient fights, but this is where the tide may swing ever so slightly. It is important to note that he only has just the one Rugloods. That's not particularly impressive overall. Sadly, my corpse cart was slightly out of position, but these savage boar boys, it looks like we will probably rout them off, even with that little bit of a, yeah, of a buff that he has on them. And yes, indeed, we do get a pretty nice route over there. Just a big old terror route. Colossal Squig should not be the biggest of deals either. We do have that double cap grinding away. And if I kill the acid burpa here, that would be a pretty big loss, right? That's just a really expensive single entity. My lord is anti-large, he'll be fine. And now that we actually have the huddles around the corpse carts, now we're feeling a lot more comfortable. Acid burpa, completely and utterly shut down. How wondrous. And if I just main tide here for the rest of the battle, I think we should be relatively okay. And there is my little summon to catch up those fools. Just gotta not die to the savage orc boar boys. Should be able to get a pretty solid doggy charge there though. Then as long as we keep spamming dogs, we're good. I failed to chase off the acid burpa though. So I'd say that's a mild misplay, but I'm about to route off his cav. We do accidentally just get a triple cap here too. That's pretty good. We get the route. How wondrous. But I'm gonna need a little bit more anti-cav, some more chaff. It shall be. Don't want to get acid burped, so we're just gonna be a little careful here, and the dogs are just gonna go for the easy pickings. Meanwhile, in the center fight, it looks like things are going pretty well. Like he's fighting crypt horrors on top of a corpse cart. It can't possibly go too bad here, right? Like that's just exactly where those units want to be. Should be fairly good. Acid burpa has once again routed. And then if I abandon the middle, should be fairly simple for me to get some routes here. Though, all right, he actually got pretty solid cav charge on my lord. So that makes things just a little bit more sus. I still think we'll be okay. Especially because we're routing off those river troll hags that are being super annoying. I should still be able to route off this situation. And the main tide should be at least relatively comfortable. Yeah. Yeah, I still have a lot of crypt horrors here. So I think we'll be good. Definitely a little bit on the scarier side for a second there. With my lord taking so much damage. But the corpse cards, yeah, the corpse cards are in a great position. And he just lost Little Grom. Some crazy hits from my lord there. Oh my god. Little Grom thought he was safe, but completely surrounded. He gets bullied into absolute oblivion in like 2 seconds. And that's just going to completely swing the battle in our favor now. Yeah, without Little Grom, there's nothing to do. Jeez. Little Grom got deleted out of nowhere. He was full HP 2 seconds ago. But it's just completely over now. I think the Banshee, she has a banner that reduces leadership by 4. That definitely helped us out. And now the Crypt Horrors. Now the Crypt Horrors are going to have an absolute heyday here. Just want to save up for a couple of dogs. He gets the Here We Go, but his cavalry just simply... They simply do not have the leadership to really hunker down in this particular situation. And with Grom off the battlefield, everything's just gonna rout now, right? Yeah, overall, I'd say not too problematic. Maybe it wasn't the most efficient greenskin build. There actually weren't a lot of archers, but if there were, they would have been fairly undefended. So I feel like we were going to be pretty in the clear no matter what. Every fight I took with my lord on top of the dogs just really did not go well for any of the cavalry that my opponent had to bring to bear. A couple savage orcs there. They're gone now, and with the mass resummoning of the dogs, it looks like that's just a little bit too much for the greenskins. I think even if Grom didn't get slapped, I think we still would have won.
Unending glory is yours.
That felt fairly straightforward. All the cavalry just really didn't do well versus the dogs. And I was just getting picks for days. I couldn't fight the savage orcs really well with the dogs. They took a lot of damage. But the Rugloods really didn't do that well. Colossal Squig died. And his his archers just couldn't kill my unholy lodestones. Crypt Horrors were doing really well. This one didn't even take a loss. Not a singular loss on those guys. Pretty sick. You can see the dogs paying for themselves in spades. And the Banshees were hype. I really like the Banshees. Not only did they provide leadership with Encourage, they also helped rout off all these fools. And Frenzy actually gets weaker when your leadership is low. So it all worked out pretty well. What did the corpse card do? It basically gives your units perfect vigor and healing. +4 leadership, 0.05 healing per second, and the vigor mortis, which is +5/+5, and a constant vigor replenishment. It's pretty gross. Pretty gross. So as long as you fight on top of them, your Crypt Horrors are just never gonna die. A lot of damage comes from crumbling. And yeah. I quite like the Strigoi Ghoul King too. Yeah, 3 Skaven games was maddening though. In terms of our matchups. I feel like I only had good matchups here. But at least it shows that if I can get vampire counts in a good matchup, we're basically guaranteed to win. Navigator is no slouch. But his greenskins felt wet. They felt like a wet noodle against a brick wall of undead. Like, he wasn't even close to routing off my guys. I still had a full HP Crypt Horror. And that's even with very few archers. I will say it was a little sketchy. Like, his cav was kind of trading evenly versus the direwolves. That's something to keep in mind. But even so, I could also just bring Scab Scrap, and then those Savage Orcs just get deleted, right? I think with some good Scab Scraps, we just destroy his Savage Orcs, and then he's also screwed. You can take it for the low price of just not having the Banshees and cutting 2 Crypt Horrors. Like, this is totally good, too. I was just a little worried about, like, some shenanigans he might throw out. But if you do it like this, you have better summons. You can summon in Crypt Horrors. Feeling good. Yeah. This thing, yeah, it's a play on Rigor Mortis. Actually, pretty jokes. Pretty jokes. What factions counter vampire counts? I think if you're gonna counter them, Khorne is a really good one to counter them. Daniken actually is learning Khorne too. Wood Elves are really good because they have armor-piercing archers. So they can shoot Graveguard to death if you span them. Just, You're a weird noise. Anyways, yeah. Wood Elves do super well. High Elves supposedly do well, but I haven't tested that in a long time. Lizardmen probably do well if it's Charix. Sounds like there's a fly in the walls or something. Anyways, but yeah, I think it really is just High Elves, Khorne, Wood Elves, Lizardmen. And I probably wouldn't go for any other faction. Oh, and Demons of Chaos and Nurgle. Apparently Nurgle and Demons of Chaos, if played well, they're actually quite spooky. But none of those factions are super meta. If Nurgle ever does become meta, then vampire counts will have a harder time. But like, no one's playing Demons of Chaos or Nurgle into counts. Khorne is also feeling a little lackluster recently. And High Elves, it's really only Charix, so. Yeah. Anyways, that's it for me today. We'll finalize the tournament. That secures my position in the top #1 standing. Hope you guys had a wonderful time. And peace out. Thank you very much, by the way, to our fleet admirals, Clint, Terry, Tuckleby, Pops, Miss New Booty, Thomas, Vitek, and our Patreon supporters, Calculandia, Steven Morden, Charlie, Benjo, Noble Naldor, and Ogandorner. If you don't see your name there, I will update the list at the end of the month. So, very much appreciated. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.